Well, good morning, my friends, and how are you? Many apologies for yesterday. We have had some crazy ass storms. If you follow me on Facebook, hold on, let's see. Woo, that came out of nowhere. Woo, it was crazy last night. Luckily, the tornado skipped over our area, but unlucky for some other people in the Fort Gibson Lake area, they got hit. And you never want to say, oh, lucky for me, it hit those people. But if you know, you know. Because when people say, how are you doing? We say, we were lucky it didn't hit us. But it wasn't lucky for them. Who all is in here? I see my girl Susan, T&T Twister. What? My goodness. Karen, Angela. Now I see some names I haven't seen in a long time. And I see some new names. What is up, everybody? And yes, we are live and shit, and it is Taco Tuesday. We got a lot of things to talk about today. I do understand that there's been some things said that creators need to apologize about Dawn and Candace's bad parenting because they have no CPS charges. CPS can't charge you. CPS is not law enforcement. Raise your hand if you have any remorse for saying anything about the way Dawn and Candace have treated children. While you get to that, we're going to tell everyone good morning. That's right. Welcome to Tuesday. Retro Girl said, no hand raised here. Good morning, Carrie G. Callie Code said, no regrets. No. Jinbug said 0. Stephen Martin said, no. KK, not happening. What on earth? What on earth is this person expecting from us? Well, let's look at it. And to be quite honest, I like the dude. I think his wife is badass. But I don't know what kind of crock of shit they're being fed. So here it is. Again, you see at the bottom, hashtag cleared from CPS, hashtag CPS. CPS is not law enforcement. They have to hand things to law enforcement and go forward with it. We're going to talk about that. We've had many a social worker on this channel, mainly in the Harmony Montgomery case, that have said, the system is full. In order to take a child out of a home, any home, it has to be bleak. But White Boy Lockdown Radio said, attention assholes on YouTube that have drugged the Wells family. I don't know why the punctuation's in there, but anyway. Do some reporting on Dawn and Candace beating all CPS allegations against them. You have talked for years about their parenting skills and judged them publicly, and they beat a system nobody does. Cleared, tell the truth. Well, then where's the boys? Where are the boys? Why were they taken from them 6-7 weeks later after Summer disappeared? What happened? And what is this beating the charges? They beat the system. What a thing to say, they beat the system. Then where are their sons? No. They have signed over. Let's go to it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we already know. Y'all are dumb. There's my girl ICU. She said they didn't beat the system because they lost custody, for fuck's sake. Because they don't have any charges on them. in Wisconsin, Arkansas, Tennessee. Hey, I guess you can say they beat the system. Because each time they just sign their rights away. But hey, if that's what they want to think, that's what they want to think. Now, mind you, this is from when Summer had been missing for 3 years. Horrible to think about. Hell he talking about?
3 years since the disappearance of then 5-year-old Summer Wells from her Hawkins County home.
The night she was reported missing, authorities said Summer was last seen walking from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beach Creek community. Hours later, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation would issue an endangered child alert for her. That would later turn into an Amber Alert.
To this day, law enforcement.
Okay. As we know, it went from them thinking that she had wandered off in the woods and they needed help finding her. So she's endangered. Of course she is. She is a little girl lost in the woods. And we know the woods are dense. We know they are. Okay? But when they say, it might be a little more than that. Summer is not autistic. Summer does not have any sort of medication she takes, any sort of special need, but they still raised it up.
And still has not.
Remember, every state has a different criteria. In Oklahoma, they have to have a vehicle.
Not located Summer Wells and are not any closer to finding her. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniels spoke with Summer's parents.
We have pushed investigators for months to learn about new details or updates in this case. What we do know is that her family continues their search to bring Summer home. I spoke with both Dawn and Candace Wells in Kingsport at a place with deep meaning to Summer's disappearance. Borden Park is in.
Woo, you guys are coming in hot. You guys are coming in hot. My girl Juniper, she said, yeah, this was wild. They will never get the boys back, regardless if charges are prosecuted or not, right? No. They gave up custody so they wouldn't be charged. You're exactly right, Juniper. Now, my understanding, my little bit of legalese that it was explained to me, that in Tennessee for the neglect and endangerment and what happened with Hunter is basically a 2-year statute of limitations. But now whatever happened with the boys, I really don't want to know. I don't want to know. They signed them over, and that is according to Don giving his interview to Ansley Daniels with WJHL. And I got a statement for Zach Walker because he just gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. My goodness. Y'all jump on that train. You get your membership. All right. I just put the link up and I sent it to a friend of mine who's supposed to come up today. I see you. Thank you, girlfriend, for always being the voice of reason. Tennessee will dismiss charges if you sign away your rights. And that is common in way too many states. Yeah. They won't screw with you. If you allow these kids to go through a 0.26 court hearing, meaning they can be adopted. They're not in the system anymore. They're not with stinky ass foster parents that look like brother and sister, and they are allowed to live their life and have a good home. Otherwise, we will prosecute you, and they will bounce from foster home to foster home. Hold on backstage. We have special guests. Everybody put your hands together for Jam 420. Woo Jam, what up, my friend?
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. So what do you think about this statement that White Boy put out? And like, again, I like Noel. I like Matt. But, I mean, assholes? Are we all assholes? Raise your hand if you're an asshole.
Listen, I've worked for CPS as a foster parent. I don't even like to call it working for them because, when I love the kids. I love the babies. And I know that their rights were terminated because they were told to sign the papers or they would go to jail for child abuse. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here, but they would go to jail.
Whatever you want to say, girlfriend. But it says, attention, assholes on YouTube that have drugged the Wells family, do some reporting on Dawn and Candace beating all CPS allegations. The allegations still stand or they would have their children back.
Right. They just signed their rights away. That way, that's how they beat it, I guess, if that's a flex. That's kind of weird.
Who
It's
would
not a
even
flex.
say that? That'd be like
Yeah.
bragging because you got shit-faced at the bar and you made it home and you passed 3 cops and just said, oh, hell, I made it home just fine. Is that the same? Are we beating the system now? We're talking about children.
They don't understand that they literally signed their rights away so they wouldn't be held accountable for the charges. That's how it works.
That's what I'm talking about. And the thing is, Don said it himself to Ansley Daniels, WJHL. Yeah, we do not have custody of the boys anymore. Now, the boys were taken in July of 2021. Don said it was his idea because it was too dangerous on the hill. Nah. They are not babysitters. They were removed. Okay? They were
Exactly. For their safety from their father.
And their mother and their grandmother, who got
Absolutely.
Dodge the minute they were taken. She knew what was going down. Don't tell me that she couldn't reschedule her trip to go to Illinois and Wisconsin. She left right after those boys were taken because she knew what was coming down the pike. She's lived through it before.
Anything but quiet this time of year. But 3 years ago, it was filled almost weekly with people praying for Summer Wells.
I see all these families, with their kids and how much they enjoy them and stuff. And we were stripped away from all our kids. All our kids have been kidnapped from us by DCS. And we're not sure about Summer, but we know about where our boys are at.
While the prayer vigils are now few and far.
Strip of our rights, kidnapped by DCS. Hold on. No. If you have listened to any of our shows about Harmony Montgomery in the beginning, wonderful friend came up. She's amazing. She is a social worker in New Hampshire. She made it so clear that it has to be a near-death, devastating, bleak situation to remove a child from their family. And even with that, I want you to listen to this. And this is especially true in Bible Belt states like Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and probably all of them. They still want reunification.
That is always the end goal, is reunification.
Mm-hmm. That is why so many foster parents don't want to do it, because you raise these children. You put them in football, basketball, cello lessons, piano. They got the Air Jordans. And it's not about money. It's about your heart as well. Then suddenly, some deadbeat cleans up their bullshit, gets a part-time job at the Walmart, and suddenly they're reunified. So Dawn needs to go spill that somewhere else.
Between, Dawn and Candace Wells haven't stopped praying that their daughter Summer will be found.
We have hope, always. I mean, but there's not much hope in this world. You know, we have to trust God that there's hope in eternal life in heaven.
Summer was reported missing on June the 15th of 2021.
We know that she was taken off our property, and we know she was taken away in a vehicle, or they would have found her in the area if she was somewhere in the area. But who's responsible for her? We don't know.
I asked Dawn and Candace when was the last time they heard from investigators.
We haven't lately at all. It's been a while, over a year, I think. I haven't talked to any law enforcement at all. I tried to talk to the FBI agent about it, but that didn't go anywhere.
Dawn says he feels that he and his wife can't.
Your child is missing. Your child is missing. I don't care if you go on the news. I don't care if you go on Facebook. I don't care if you go on Twitter or Snapchat or YouTube. I could care less. But you should be 100% involved in what law enforcement is doing. Sometimes it's more dangerous to speak out. But he's saying right there, I haven't talked to him in a year. Why? You say you pray every night. Best way to get your shit done is to talk to them, correct?
Exactly. A year, I wouldn't let a month go by. I wouldn't let a week go by. They would get so sick of hearing from me.
I would be anxious after a day. I would be anxious after just a day not hearing from them.
Candace were targeted by the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
They intimidated us, they belittled us, and done everything they could amidst all the chaos. And then the CPS was there doing the same thing.
When asked about how he thinks about Summer's disappearance 3 years later, Dawn spoke about a Department of Children's Services investigation.
They said somebody had called and said that we was giving our kids loaded guns to play with. And so they closed the case June 14th, which is something CPS does not do. They don't just close cases. So it's really...
But the truth is they didn't close the case. They wanted to come back. Now, because they want to tell us on the internet that they closed the case doesn't mean that's what happened. What do you want to say about that, Jam?
They close cases if the parents follow the care plan. They have things that they have to do. The problem is Mr. Wells and Mrs. Wells did not follow directions. And they didn't hear but only what they wanted to. And no, CPS wasn't closing the case that day. That's not how it works.
They close cases every day, but it's called founded and unfounded. If it's founded, they continue to investigate. If it's unfounded, they're like, we're done. We saw what we need to see. You've got running water. You've got plenty of food. You've got your pew-pews put up where they're supposed to be. But this was not just closed because they come back.
There was domestic violence. I believe that that's when they entered their life, was when Dawn had that trip back from Utah where he had his hissy fit and there was a gun and there was jail time and there was a DV imposed upon him, and a lot of times that makes police mandated reporters to report that the children were there during the domestic violence incident.
Which happened in October of 2020.
Right. And that's when they entered their life. There was a time that I remember Dawn saying that he slept at his work. And it just makes me wonder if they wanted him out of the home due to that.
So you have October of 2020 when he comes in, Dawn, guns a-blazing, beating the hell out of Jose, to the point where Crandus had to get off her fat ass and take Jose back to South Carolina or to South Carolina. So they might have closed that case. But after the situation with Marlena days before, they showed up on the 14th. And no, they didn't close any case that day. And it's not public record. But enough people in the circle have spoke about it. Are they all smart enough to have the same lie? One person can lie to you. Two people cannot. Ever played the gossip game?
Yep, but it always ends up being something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Odd and mystifying, or they closed the case June 14th, and then 24 hours later, Summer's gone.
Summer's mother, Candace, sat in for part of our interview, but got up after a few questions.
She was going to try, but her emotions are just too much.
The last update in the Summer Wells case from law enforcement was an age-progressed photo released in June of last year. This image was released by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Summer Wells, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. That number is right there on your screen.
All right, so he said right there. He said right there. Yeah, we don't have rights to those boys. So I don't know what conversations Dawn is having with other people. It doesn't make any sense. What do you think, Jan?
I think he just makes up things as he goes along, honestly. I really do. I think he just pulls maybe one sentence out of a conversation with a CPS worker. You know, maybe she said, you know, we were thinking about closing the case, and that's where he got that, you know? But now we're going to keep it open. You don't know what he thinks. His brain doesn't work. You know.
He wasn't there on the 14th. So for him to say, oh, they closed the case. Well, that day he fired Dudley.
Right.
Oh, shoot.
And, you know, this, he always has these dreams, and I think his dreams are very telling. And they almost, that one where the angel came to him, that one really, my daughter doesn't even follow the case. And she heard him talking about that dream, and she said, Mom, that sounds like a confession more than a dream. You know?
But, I mean, the case is still open because on the TBI site, and Dietz was nice enough to put it on her channel. So let's go through what actual law enforcement has to say, and not a damn YouTube creator, myself included.
Or me, for that matter, anybody. We all have our opinions. But nobody knows.
Mm-hmm. No. We can't get warrants. We can't arrest. We can have our suspicions. We can get together and talk. We can keep, you know, names out there. But this
not
is
to break subject, but if we could do that, Gypsy Rose would be back in prison.
Is she not a hot mess?
That thing ain't right. Her and Dawn should get together.
Whew, I'm surprised it hadn't happened. Damn. And now she's got that reality show on Lifetime. No way I would watch it, Jam.
I don't watch it. I do not watch it, but I do keep up with what's going on with her. And let me tell you, that little gal, whoa, man, she's a special kind of gaslighter.
I follow Tiffany T, and it's always something between her and the ex and the new boyfriend. And I saw this picture of Gypsy Rose holding her daughter saying, I will never let anything happen to you. And I about barfed. The one that they need to watch is Gypsy Rose and her stepmother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or her sister. She's jelly of that sister.
She got real upset when her stepmom was bragging on her half sister.
I know. Did you see that apology video to Ryan, her ex? It was like gaslighting 101. It was like listening to someone. It was listening to the most narcissistic apology I've ever heard. It was like listening to Sarah Boone apologize to George's parents for her killing him.
Sickening.
Put out a little bit of information about Summer's case that we haven't heard anywhere else.
Also, along those same lines, when a case remains unsolved, like for instance, the Summer Wells case, that's extremely hard because there's nothing that we want more than to solve a case, especially involving a child. And it's hard not having the answers, or being close to maybe discovering something and just knowing that we just need a little bit more information to resolve a certain situation. So,
okay, I'm going to do a whole show about this, because when I just heard Leslie say, and sorry to get off on the Gypsy Rose situation. I can't with that dumpster fire. I apologize, but hey, we get to
Sorry, I
chat.
brought it up. I should not. We should do that another day.
No girl. We get to chatting and that's it. Can't help it. All right. I don't work for Channel 6 News, but when I just heard Leslie say, well, let's listen to it again. And I really appreciate Deet's putting this out. And she's got the sweetest little voice, unlike mine.
Or mine. I sound like a man.
also, along those same lines, when a case remains unsolved, like for instance, the Summer Wells case, that's extremely hard because there's nothing that we want more than to solve a case, especially involving a child. And it's hard not having the answers, or being close to maybe discovering something and just knowing that we just need a little bit more information to resolve a certain situation.
Well, that gave me chills.
Yeah, that tells me they're close to something.
Okay, so this comes out, and then next thing you know, White Boy Radio is going around saying, oh, they beat the system. That's a fucked up thing to say. Sorry for using the F word. You have Leslie from TBI. We're so close. We just need a little piece to connect this together. She brought up Summer. She wasn't asked about Summer. She brought Summer up. So then who comes out of the woodwork? Dawn. Let's listen to her again because this is way more important than what I got to say.
Also, along those same lines, when a case remains unsolved, like for instance, the Summer Wells case, that's extremely hard because there's nothing that we want more than to solve a case, especially involving a child. And it's hard not having the answers, or being close to maybe discovering something and just knowing that we just need a little bit more information to resolve a certain situation.
We just need a little bit more to resolve a certain situation. What situation could it be?
Well, it's interesting that Dawn suddenly come out and White Boy with all this, and nobody beats the system. You get caught up in it eventually.
Well, or you just choose, like in their situation, not to participate and sign your kids over. And
You sign your rights away, then you don't have any children to be in trouble for.
Candace did it in Wisconsin. We talked about that last week. She went to jail for 90 days, and there's her little boy and her infant daughter, and she just signed them over. They went straight to foster care. Her mom didn't care. No one cared. But it's odd to me when they poke their head out from under the covers. And Leslie's saying just one little piece of information.
Boy, I'd like to know what that is.
There's nothing better than seeing a case solved and seeing justice served. But at the same time, it's also extremely hard for those cases where we haven't seen justice served yet.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Summer Wells, so I did want to ask any updates on that case from your perspective or from the TBI standpoint, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It is still an open and active investigation. I think most people think that the case has gone cold, but that's not true. We still have agents working on it constantly. We follow up on any new information that comes in. I can say that we've been following up on information that we've received in the last few months. So it is very much an active investigation, and we will not give up.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And
So it's not a lot of information.
They just said, we won't give up. All right. I want to show you guys something. Our friend Jam is up here. I want to introduce you to her channel. You guys have all kinds of talents, arts, you name it. Jam is an amazing painter. She does amazing things. Now, I'm going to put her link in here. Y'all go sub up. And if this is your jam, like Jam 420, who is an
Thank
amazing,
you.
check out some of her artwork. Look at this.
And as the flowers, I sit for hours telling all the bluebirds. And as the flowers.
Where did you learn to paint, Jam? Because I can't paint a bathroom wall.
Well, I can't paint a bathroom wall either,
Okay.
but I can slap some paint on a canvas or a paper for some reason. I don't know. I've always loved art. I've always loved painting. I wasn't academically amazing, but I excelled in art. And my parents, of course, were my biggest fans. And when they passed away in 2018, I just picked up the paintbrush and kind of used it for therapy and a lot of emotions in those paintings, I'll tell you that.
I can
And
just
it's helped.
it's hard to lose. It's hard to lose a loved one, especially a parent. I love this rooster. I have an
Thank you.
8-foot rooster in my backyard I got from Tractor Supply.
Well,
For
I'm going to have to paint you a rooster and send it to you.
I'm talking about.
Days seem sometimes as if they'll never end. Fun with you, won't you? But half the sunny day, it stays the same. Rises the moon.
I'm probably not your regular artist, and I probably don't do things
I
the
think it's great.
exact right way, but I
Isn't
want
it?
to paint, do some lives and paint and chat and just enjoy people's company while I paint. I
Mhm.
think it would be great.
I love when people share their artwork and their crafts with me. I pick on Jinbug quite a bit. I mean, if you remember, I mean, she made these amazing, well, I call them bouquets for
Oh, I
Greenland, and
saw that.
they're gorgeous. And I put that on
Yes,
the members tab. But
beautiful work.
all right, we're going to come back to Jam's channel. I promise we are. But I want her to get the views, not me. Don't worry, she's got
Thank you.
from me.
Thank you.
About
I appreciate it.
Crandus, not Grandus anymore. I'm talking about Crandus because there were 2 adults that we know for sure on that hill that day that little Summer went missing. I'm going to start with Crandus. And of course, there's JLR. I love that day that he banged on that motel door, not hotel, motel door in Springdale, Arkansas. And she opened that door and she instantly slammed it.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates Summer Wells right here is still missing. She was 5 years old when she went missing June 15th, 2021, Hawkins County, Tennessee, Rogersville, Tennessee. She has still not been found. Where is Summer Wells? Let's talk about Don and Candace Wells, Summer's parents. They are not cooperating with the investigation into what happened to Summer Wells. Check it out.
Investigators say Candace Bly and Donald Wells are no longer cooperating with the investigation into the disappearance of their daughter, Summer Wells.
Are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now. They have attorneys.
Okay, so you're in the hot seat, Jim. What do you think? And you don't have to stay up here the whole time. We're going to get back to some other things. What did you think when the news broke in March of 2022 that you can't speak for Don because he was behind bars, but they aren't cooperating? That would mean Crandus. What did you think of that?
I thought, boy, that kind of solidifies everything I've been thinking. It's like they've got, what do they have to hide? What are they trying to get away from? There's no reason for them not to cooperate if they're innocent.
Now, since they're so dirt ass poor, which they're not, people with 11 acres, a paid for home, and a job are not poor. They were assigned an attorney through family court. So when Pruitt said the CPS case bleeds over into this. So then we hear Leslie earlier in the show saying there is one piece that we need to put together. What's the little piece? I would love to know.
Me and you both. Because if they get that little piece, that means they're going to find out what happened or where Summer is. That's all we need.
Is the family still cooperating? I know you said obviously no Don's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now. They have attorneys.
Why are they not cooperating with authorities? Summer Wells, she's still missing. That's her parents. A lot of cloud of suspicion of her parents. But while Summer Wells is still missing, Candace Wells is on YouTube boozing it up, drinking. It's very, very sad. Check it out.
Joel. Brenda, isn't it nice to see her smile? It is beautiful to see her smile. It is. I love y'all. Y'all are great. No, you're the great one. You're great. Both of you are.
Thanks for being our friends.
Your friends are hard to come by.
See the Mountain Dew? Oh, that's what I'm drinking. Right.
Yeah, right? I'm drinking iced tea.
Well, it's a 2-liter, so you might as well.
Yeah, right? Just get one of them. Remember,
I don't understand why Johnny did what she did to me.
Jenna turned in your mess. Look at her. Oh, Jenna did what she did to me. She turned in your mess of what you said about what you did with Hunter and another, I'm going to say little boy, 13, 14 years old. And that Mountain Dew, you ever had a Long Island iced tea at a restaurant and you're like, woo, I need something to chase that. I need something. But
Mountain Dew is her chaser. That's always been her go-to chaser.
And look at her. Look at her, Jim. Oh, no, why Jenna did that to me. Who gives a rat's ass about Jenna? Your daughter is missing.
You should have been telling that stuff from jump. Not let somebody else have to tell it for you.
Jenna actually told another YouTuber, showed the text messages where Candace confided what was I've got to put it lightly, going on between her and Hunter. And guess what? I played those CPS phone calls. They didn't give a rat's ass. They didn't care.
It hurts my feelings. It bothers me.
Because she.
Why? Why would you do that to me?
Because things got the best of her. Just please let.
No, because she thought that you all were guilty like everybody else is. In this day and time, you're guilty till proven innocent. And it's not.
It's like a lot of people.
Right.
You have to forgive her. You have to pray for her. You have to forgive her.
But I can't.
But the Lord says to.
Because she's told me in the beginning
the Lord says,
that she was my friend.
But the Lord says, pray for your enemies.
Oh.
I
know. In due time.
Yes,
in due time.
She sounds like she's in labor.
Sexy. Yeah, the Lord says, see, the thing is Don is so dumb. He really is. And I don't mean books.
He is. No,
but
he's dumb.
He is always the last to know what Candace has been doing. So while everybody talks about how nasty Don is, and yes, he is. We have
My opinion is Don is a dumb narcissist. And there's nothing worse than.
Well, and he also has a sexual appetite that none of us can understand. But when it comes to his wife, to can't, just like last week, he had 2 shows back to back about Summer, and he was calling people up, asking about Summer's jacket. Candace is bold-faced lying to him. But we're supposed to accept that she's got the mentality of a 13-year-old. Yeah, 13-year-olds will lie to you. That's for sure. But she's in her 40s, my friends. And he is pressuring her and pressuring her and pressuring her for the truth. And until he put Nana's Angels on the phone with her, the whole time, he's thinking something else was going on. She had to admit that, yeah, she left Summer's jacket with her girlfriend, Kathy, for safekeeping. Now look at this. She, and he's like, you got to pray for your enemies. But she has not told him exactly what she confided in Jenna. And by the way, Jenna's gone. Jenna will have nothing to do with this case. And I don't blame her after all the nasty things she heard.
I'm not a Jenna fan. I'm not a big Jenna fan, but, you know, Candace cried over her, but not over her baby. That bothers me. That bothers me.
My cat is mimicking me. Did you guys just hear OJ go? Oh.
We have the same color cat. Remember, I sent you a picture. I have a cat like that.
It hurts my feelings. It bothers me.
Because she.
Why? Why would you do that to me?
Because things got the best of her. Just please let.
No, because she thought that you all were guilty like everybody else is. In this day and time, you're guilty till proven innocent. And it's not.
It's like a lot of people.
Right.
You have to forgive her. You have to pray for her. You have to forgive her.
But I can't.
But the Lord says to.
Because she's told me in the beginning
the Lord says,
that she was my friend.
But the Lord says, pray for your enemies.
In due time. In due time. In due time.
Right.
You're going through so much.
Nobody has seen the pain that Candace has. The pain that they have shown. I mean, nobody has seen that because they too try to keep face. You know, they don't.
My daughter and my boy.
I know they're your boy.
They don't even know.
But still, God says pray for your enemies and everything. And I feel like Jana is worth praying for. So I want Jenna to know that we're praying for her and we love her no matter what. I want her to know that.
Okay. Don the Con acting like a preacher. We love her and we're praying for her. Jen Bug said she's not crying because of Jenna. She's crying from guilt she's holding on to. We saw her on Dr. Phil. She was laser focused, like a tractor beam, looking at Dr. Phil. She could see herself in his shiny waxed head. She wouldn't take her eyes off of him. And when he started pressuring her, she couldn't take it. But now we're supposed to believe that she is this upset because of Jenna? Because Jenna ghosted her? Not saying Jenna is the best cat on the block by any means. But at least she told the truth about what Crandus said to her.
Exactly. I just feel that Crandus is hiding something and Dawn is hiding something. I think they are both hiding something. I think Dawn lets it slip out now and then. You know, my theory has always been she was taken for a debt owed, but, you know, it could be anybody else's. But the fact of the matter is, because of their addiction and dysfunction, their little girl's missing.
And that is 100% because of their lifestyle, their neglect, the way they endanger children. They can't take care of a puppy dog. Think about that. That one cat of theirs was so inbred, it had 2 sets of goddamn teeth. That cat scared the fuck out of me.
And to say that those dogs all disappeared together on the same day at the same time that she went missing is an absolute positive lie. I will not believe that.
Can't even get your animals fixed. They do it for free. When I saw that picture of that cat, that's some Stephen King shit right there, Jan. What the?
No, right. Well, I think the whole house is kind of Stephen. And listen, I don't live in no fancy house, period. My house is nothing. But
son,
yeah, we live in the country too, and I know how country people live. We're not quite as fancy a lot of times as people in town, but there's a little bit. You can be less fancy, and then they move on to it's getting gross now.
Oh, let me tell you what, I've seen nicer places in the country than I've seen in the city. I'm telling you that right now.
And you don't have to have a fancy house to keep it clean by any means.
But people are smart enough to know when you got a litter of kittens and they become of a certain age, they're going to
have another litter and another litter and another litter.
They're going to start screwing each other. When I saw that
Absolutely.
3 damn sets of teeth, I about shit myself. Those goddamn dogs, I couldn't believe it. I felt horrible for them. That in itself is a crime.
It's my baby. She don't even know me. Jenna doesn't even know me. I've heard all the things she said about me, and I still want her to know that we're praying for her. And we pray for her, and we still love her.
Okay, everything always goes back to Dawn. And he goes, Jenna doesn't even know me, but we're going to pray for her. It's not about Dawn. It's about what she put out for what Crandus admitted to doing with, not with, but against underage boys.
Because we know the situation she's in.
No, I want to give you a big hug, honey. Don, you're a bigger man than most of us that are out here loving you all and sending you all love and support. We are mad.
That's such a bunch of shit.
We are mad. We are on a war path.
I've been mad for 3 days. I've been on the war path for 3 days.
I know.
Everybody.
Review.
Somebody kidnapped my daughter.
No.
and then motherfuckers want to use me and abuse me. I'm really hurt.
I know. We hurt for you as well, Candace. We know, we see their evil.
So again, we're talking about Crandus.
She's really hurt and really drunk.
Somebody kidnapped my daughter. FBI card unit said no abduction.
I live in the country. I live one way in, one way out. If one of my grandchildren went amiss, even if they never wandered off ever in their life, the first thing that would come to my mind is, oh my God, they've wandered off.
That would be the first.
Not some damn individual came up a holler and stole them.
Even if you live in town, you're going to assume that your child went to play with another child, didn't check in. Somebody got a new game box and a new game, and they went in someone's house and didn't think to say anything. That's the first thing you're going to assume. Within 2 minutes or 10 minutes, Candace can't. So she just gone. Now, my question is, and I want everyone to simmer on this, because I only know what Candace has reported, the 911 dispatch, and what Crandus said, which we're going to get to. Crandus is asleep in her camper. I'm going to call it a camper right now. I'm being nice. Would you not go straight to your mom and say, is Summer in here? Instead, Crandus gets out of her camper and Candace tells her Summer's missing.
Didn't she say she came upstairs screaming and acting like, I mean, why would your go-to thing, like after 2 minutes? It's like, if she was taken, they knew who was coming.
Bingo. Then they knew who was coming. Okay?
Because she put her in her car and took her far, far away from there. Remember, Dawn said that.
Dawn has said a lot. Dawn even said by now Summer is fish food. But wouldn't you ask the grandma who's right there on the property, is Summer with you? Because I walked her inside, which I don't think happened.
Because that's ridiculous.
The boys said she went down into the dungeon to play with her toys. But I flew
all 7 of them.
I flew down there as fast as I could, and she wasn't down there. Then I went outside after I looked under a mattress that was on the concrete floor. Who would look under there? And I went under all the blankets. I walked out the door and I looked from right to left because she would sit outside that door by herself and play with her toys. Okay. She walks around. She can see she's not on the swing. And she just tells Crandus, Summer's missing. Why wouldn't she at least ask? Is she in the camper with you?
A part of me feels like she was passed out for several hours, woke up, and literally had no freaking idea. You know, a part of me feels like she got too messed up, you know, and passed out. She got up early that morning. She was going to be tired. That wasn't normal.
She got up early that morning for a reason, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And she left Summer there. She took Summer for a reason. Because this
and
was
Hunter for a reason.
And picked up Hunter for a reason. But she took Summer with her, which is not common protocol, because the older kids would watch Summer when she went to do her fiddle farting around.
And baby, don't cry. We want you to know that there's so many of us out here that love you.
Why people gotta be so mean to me?
But I know. You got a lot of good friends out of this.
You're an asshole.
You have a lot of
It's
good
so hard.
sticking up for you, though.
Yeah, but we have the right to cry. I mean, you know. Yeah, we do. We absolutely have that right to cry. And we have a right to scream and cuss when we have to protect ourselves. You know, we can only take a person can only take so much before we snap.
And it's all right.
So Candace is on YouTube drinking. She's been doing it off and on since Summer Wells went missing, and parents are not cooperating. Why? We are bringing public awareness to Summer Wells. We are Summer's Army. We will keep Summer's name in.
Exactly. Now, everything that Candace spilled out up until March of 2022, Crandus changed. That's why the name of the show is Crandus. Because I wouldn't be surprised that these two aren't covering for each other. Remember, they're cut from the same cloth. As we heard last week on the show about Candace's upbringing, her mom decided she liked water slides better than pogo sticks, and she abandoned all 3 of her children. Candace went to foster care. Nobody went to get her. Nobody tried to find her. Same thing happened in Wisconsin when Candace lost custody of her 2 children. Missing with Amanda. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Let's get out our umbrellas. Come on, babies. Think about it, Jan. This is like bred into them. Oh,
You don't tell the family secrets. You don't tell the family secrets. You keep things.
You don't do that. Hey, Kat. But we learned about that last week. Always had kind of an idea that Crandus, might putt from the rough. Not my business. I don't care what people do in their bedroom unless it doesn't. Just better not involve elderly people unless they're real spry, animals, or kids.
Or children, right?
Do not care. Do not care. But you don't get to decide that you like a different body part and abandon your kids. Doesn't work that way. But Crandus, when she gave her famous interview, and boy was it, she dispelled so many things that her daughter Can't said. We had always heard that there was a scheduled doctor's appointment. Why the hell would Can't make a doctor's appointment for her mom's plastic knee so early in the morning when she's got to sleep it off, if you know what I mean? She's more of an afternoon gal. But Crandus said, no, she was concerned about my knee and had to take me to the ER. And she left me in the ER. When she went to get Hunter, that made more sense. It never made sense in the beginning about just had to be at this doctor's appointment because Candace will blow off anything. She don't care. She doesn't care about bills, doesn't care about taxes, doesn't care about car insurance, doesn't care about car tags, doesn't care about feeding her kids, but just had to be at that doctor's appointment. Could you just imagine being woke up by Shrek over Mama Shrek going, Mother, I just had to wake you up out of the camper. I couldn't sleep all night. I'm so worried about your knee. Mother.
I can't believe it.
Mother, I must take you. Mother, I must take you. And yes, even though Summer sleeps until 1 or 2 in the afternoon, we must take Summer as well. And even though Allie hates my ass, we're going to stop by and see if Hunter can go with us. Get the fuck out.
Officers spent a 3rd day in the Beach Creek community searching for Summer Wells, but no significant results. An Amber Alert to find the missing 6-year-old from Hawkins County remains active. And we're hearing more about what happened the day from her grandmother. Here's Ansley Daniel.
Josh and Sarah, as officers spent another day in Beach Creek searching for Summer, I was out there yesterday and spent some time at the Wells family home on Ben Hill Road. Now, that's where Summer was reported missing from on June the 15th. I actually had the chance to speak with the missing girl's mother, Crandus, who again did not want to speak on camera with us, but I did have the opportunity to sit down with her grandmother, Candace Hare, who told me she wants people to hear about her family straight from the source.
That's why I come on camera, because I am sick and tired of the lies.
Missing Hawkins County 6-year-old Summer Wells' grandmother.
She said, I'm sick and tired of the lies. What
Is
lies?
she talking about her daughter's lies or what?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Didn't they come out right after, or she come out right after some kind of situation?
No, she came out right after Ronnie Lawson said they're not cooperating.
Yeah, that was it. I knew there was something went down, and she came out, and then suddenly there's Crandus to save the day.
Nope, the other stuff didn't bother her. No, the lie she is talking about, according to her, is the sheriff of Hawkins County, like him or hate him, saying they're not cooperating. That's what pissed her off. So
Because they're not.
After all this time of her granddaughter being missing, that's what got her going. Freaking crotch monkey.
All the horrible things that had been said about her daughter.
On camera as she's been reliving a familiar nightmare.
Rose has been missing for 12 years. I miss her dearly. She's the baby of the family.
Hare's youngest daughter and Summer's aunt, Rosemarie Bly, went missing from Wisconsin on August 21st of 2009.
To go through it again with my granddaughter, Summer, is very heartbreaking. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is what a parent goes through, what a grandmother goes through. It's the not knowing is what tears us up. It's the not knowing.
Back in November, her granddaughter's case received national attention on a 2-part Dr. Phil episode, which is why Hare thinks her daughter Candace Bly has continued to shy away from the media.
I think it had to do a lot with Dr. Phil, the way it came out on Dr. Phil.
Just watch her. Just watch her. Let me tell you what. They're all shocked as shit that there's so much attention for a little girl from East Tennessee. They're shocked.
They weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting it.
No, they figured.
Whatever happened to Summer, they figured they could do the missing report, roll on, life would go back, you know, the little podunk town, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's not what happened. And they didn't know how to handle that.
No way. Nope. Because too many people care.
When she was out there, I was not out there. I think it hurt Candace in a way. I don't know if it's helped or not. I don't believe it has. Maybe it's gotten more attention out everywhere.
On June 15th, the day Summer was reported missing, Hare says she spent the entire day with her daughter and granddaughter. She says it started with a trip to the emergency room to have her knee checked out.
They prescribed me medication to take to get the swelling down out of my knee and around my knee because it was inflamed. And then we waited around for my prescription. Summer went swimming that day at the horse stables, I believe it was.
After the family...
Okay, so she acts like she doesn't even know where Summer went swimming, which makes sense if they're waiting on a prescription. Now, Muscles and Mascara said, hold on. There is a Walgreens right in that hospital. She could have sat right there and waited on her prescription. Somebody was in a hurry for whatever reason. Now, do we have any nurses in here? I see Angel P's in here. Is it a normal procedure when someone has a bunch of swelling on their knee and they get a cortisone shot that they put a knee brace on it? Does anyone know? Because I've never had a knee problem. Thank the Lord.
I had a partial knee replacement, and they told me I could get an over-the-counter brace until I got my surgery if I wanted to, but they didn't give me one. And I believe that the brace that Candace and Grandis speak of is just one of those slip on your knee elastic things.
Okay. But when Don said he didn't see a brace,
he wouldn't have seen it because it would have been under her clothes. It would have just been a stretchy knee thing, like a, you understand what I'm saying? Like it's a knee, you pull it up.
Well, okay.
Like,
okay.
Like copper fit. Like copper fit.
All right. Okay. Got you. Okay. Thank you so much, Carla Barnes, for the super sticker.
Hey, I'm going to jump down. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
Okay, I'll talk to you after the show, girlfriend. Everybody, let's have a huge round of applause for Jam 420 and her sharing her art and keeping Summer's name out there. Okay, thank you for answering my question because several people are like, yeah, I had a knee brace. I had a knee brace. I don't know. I do not know. I just know that when I messed up my shoulder, when I was moving those tomato plants, I was told ice, ice, ice. Don't do anything else. But obviously shoulders are different than knees. Love you, Pat. Pat said, thanks, Brooks and Chad, for always remembering Summer.
Returned home with groceries, Hare says she took a nap, woke up and repotted cactus plants with her granddaughter. She says Summer ate a peppermint, went inside the house to play with her brothers, and that was the last time she was seen.
There was no sign of her.
Authorities say all possibilities of what happened to Summer are still on the table. But like the rest of the Wells family, Summer's grandmother believes she was abducted.
We never did find her. She called 911 and she called Donnie, and we sent the boys down over the hill, and I stood in front of over by the edge there and watched them. And was praying to God every minute that nobody would take them.
For more than a decade, Hare has said the same prayer.
I hope and I pray to God every.
Okay, I'm only talking to the grandmas and grandpas in here. That's it. We know what mamas do. We know what daddies do when you can't find your child. But I'm talking to grandmas and grandpas. If your child tells you that your grandchild is missing, do you instantly believe it? Or do you say, hell no, I'm going to find my grandbaby. I'm going to find my grandbaby. What do you mean missing? I just woke up from a nap. It's not even 4 p.m. What are you talking about? We live in the middle of nowhere. Your nearest neighbor is down the mountain. What are you talking about? She said she just knew Summer was gone and was afraid somebody was going to come kidnap the boys. But they sent the boys out by themselves with pocket knives to go look for Summer at the creek. Still, how long did it take? Because they won't talk about times to get law enforcement involved. MBCZ Network said it's so sad that this case is going cold. According to Leslie Earhart from the TBI, it is nowhere near going cold. You'll have to start the show over and see what she said, because it actually, I can't say it makes me happy that Summer is still missing. I can't say, oh, it makes me so happy, because she's missing. But she's saying no. She even referenced there's one little piece they're looking for.
every day.
Over the last almost 9 months, along with her daughter Rose, her granddaughter Summer has now been added to her plea.
That she's found alive.
We have more of that first-time interview along with
Okay. And Grandis cannot act like she is helicopter grandma when she got the hell out of Dodge when the boys were picked up by CPS. She wanted no part of that. Now, mind you, this woman's got Social Security. She's got workman's comp coming in, whatever else she has. Why did she not petition the courts to get custody of those 3 boys? Get an apartment somewhere and say, hey, you and Don, go do your own thing. You continue looking for Summer, but I'm going to make sure these boys are okay. Would that not be something that a grandma would do? Why would they not? But Grandis talks about how exhausted she is and just can't do anything. And I guess she's been that way for 40, 50 years. Now, this is from our buddy Navalis that put some pieces together, and I agree with him. Great channel. He doesn't do anything anymore. He kind of got scared off by a few people from another case. Can't say that I blame him, but it is what it is.
To number 2 because I want to. And I never said I was going in order. Never said that. But my number 2 is Grandma Candace. One of the last people to have seen Summer, one of the closest people to Summer that day when she went missing. Going to run through motive and pros and cons like I did in the last video. So the motive. Something that has come up a lot is Grandma Candace saved Summer. Saved her by giving her to a nice family or something like that. I don't believe this. I'm not sure that happens in the States anymore. Kids, children definitely are trafficked, but I'm not too sure that they're trafficked to nice, loving families or anything like that. If they're being trafficked, it's not for a good reason. It's not that easy these days to get social security numbers out of the tin air. And look, at the end of the day, a nice, clean family will have no problem in adopting a kid, unless you're a same-sex couple in some states. I just don't think it's a plausible scenario that Grandma Candace saves Summer by giving her away to a nice family. I know this used to happen a lot before. There was lots of babies very close to where I am now, stolen from their mothers. Single mothers will be sent away to workhouses run by the church, run by nuns. The babies will be taken off them, they'll be sent home. And a lot of those babies were being sold over to the States, over to the families in America. The families that adopted these kids had no idea really that these...
And we have talked about church adoptions before. I just think we're way too late in the game for that one. I just think we're way too late. Because today's May 20th. We're only a few weeks away, unless Summer is found today, which would be great, from her 4-year anniversary. But the different stories from 2 women that were right there, and different accounts of the day by 2 women, grown women, mother and daughter, that were right there, make no sense to me. Something's got to add up, and those 2 stories between Candace Hare and Candace Bly Wells do not add up.
Kids were basically stolen from their mothers. Look up mother and baby homes Ireland, you'll get a lot there. But does it happen in 2022, 2021? Kids stolen and given away to good, loving homes? I don't think so. I'm not convinced. Motive number 2, just sold to a trafficking ring, not sold to a good, loving home. Grandma Candace involved on her own, pulled the wool over Candace's eyes, was able to isolate Summer and arrange for a pickup, arrange for Summer to be sold to a trafficking ring for cash, for a bit of money. But what evidence do we have for that? Are you just going off Rose? because you smell something fishy there, that's a bit weak. That's a big leap. That's a big leap. The average age of someone who is trafficked is 13. Rose was 21, Summer was 5. Average age of Rose and Summer is 13. But to be honest, I wouldn't read too much into that. I don't see it. I think it's a huge leap to say Grandma Candice was involved in this on her own. We have very little info or evidence for that. Motive number 3, if it's not a solo effort, then is she involved with Dawn? Maybe just Dawn. Herself and Dawn arranged something that Candice is oblivious to. Do you think that is likely? Do you think Grandma Candice and Dawn could work together like that? I'm not so sure. I don't think they like each other very much. I don't think they do like each other very much today. Number 4, arrange something for Summer to be sold with Candice, perhaps. And it's when you start teaming up Grandma Candice with Candice that you find it harder to knock it down. You find it harder to debunk. But we know TBI, FBI, they've trawled through all the data. How was this arranged? Was this arranged behind Dawn's back? It wasn't arranged pretty good because they've left a huge gap there. There's a 3-hour gap that they can't fill. So if you're going to arrange something, you should do it a bit better than that. So I'm not too sure on a planned situation with Candice. But how about an unplanned situation? Number 5, an accident cover-up. Grandma Candice helps Candice cover up an accident. Put yourself in Grandma Candice's shoes for a second on that day at the time Summer went missing. She's having a nap. She hears a scream. Jesus, Jodie Sue might be even right about the scream. Maybe there was. Maybe it was Candice.
Jodie Sue's an idiot. Now, I want to talk about, again, we know for a fact Candice was home. Crandus was home. The 3 boys were home. I don't know where Don was. I can't say he was there because, well, I wasn't there. I'm only going off of what police have reported of who was at home at the time of Summer's disappearance in the middle of the afternoon in the middle of nowhere. For an accident, would they really cover it up? And where could they put her? Where? Dogs, heat-seeking drones, helicopters, military-grade search. They covered every part of that 11 acres, assuming that Summer wandered off, which is your first assumption. And what kind of accident can happen? If, according to those two, they're wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and they're planting cactus in the backyard in that damn pot that had weeds all over it, because I guess in their neck of the woods, weeds grow that fast. Why would you cover up an accident? I mean, I wouldn't. It would never even occur to me. A child of mine has an accident. Guess what? I'm calling 911. I'm not even waiting to get to the hospital. I'm calling an ambulance ASAP.
Maybe it was Candice finding Summer dead. Freak accident. Put yourself in Grandma Candice's shoes. She hears the scream. She wakes from her nap. She goes outside. Summer's dead. Summer's gone. What's the options? Call the police and an ambulance, obviously. But what happens then? Dawn comes flying home. Her and Candice are gone. They're getting kicked out. This happened on their watch. Dawn is probably going to beat Candice within an inch of her life. If he can get his hands on her, she needs the bunks. The boys are definitely going to be taken. CPS were already up their arse, and this is going to seal the deal. So,
okay. So Navi, he has a theory. You already know that Don's not afraid to beat the piss out of a woman. Okay? He'll get into it with Candice. He'll get into it with her old crusty mama. They've already got CPS on their tail. But what are the odds? I'm asking you, what are the odds of having an accident that serious where 2 grown women had to cover it up on the same day when everything is totally irregular? Meaning Dawn takes the Subaru. Crandus just has to go to the ER. they suddenly reconnect with Allie and Hunter. Kent is calling people who don't matter, Marlena, Hunter, Allie, and then some, to say Summer's missing. Hold on. So his theory is they could have covered this up because Dawn would throw them both out. Then the boys would be gone, and there goes their livelihood. There goes their bread and butter. It's a good theory. It is. I don't think that's it, but I do. I respect it.
What do? Do you take Candace and all the boys and bunks, try to head away back to Wisconsin with Candace and all the boys? Does she want that? If she calls it in, she's going to lose her camper, she's going to lose her spot in Tennessee, she's probably going to lose her grandkids, and she's probably going to be going home with Candace. Does she want that? What is the best situation for her? Summer's gone. Nothing's going to change that. And I think when you start thinking about it from Candace's side and Grandma Candace's side, you can see that it wouldn't take much convincing for one to convince the other to go along with this. Hey, look, this is our best option. Look what's going to happen if we call this in. Nobody could have predicted this case would have blown up like it is. So
now I can't speak for CPS. I do know that the things that were called in regarding other children involved, they didn't work too fast. And Dawn doesn't seem to be the doting daddy. So if there was an accident, and I'm not worried about CPS, the authorities would know it's an accident. Let's say they were playing on the swing and the swing hit Summer in the head. And they're like, oh no, looks like Summer's dead. We have to go get rid of Summer, or Dawn's going to get mad. CPS doesn't work that way.
what's the pros of Grandma Candace? The things that make me think that she's probably involved. The first thing, a huge thing to me, is the odds. The odds of having a daughter going missing and a granddaughter going missing are insane. Especially when you consider they were missing in different states and you were in that state in the area when both went missing. You have a much, much better chance of winning the lotto twice in 10 years than you do of this happening. And it leads me to believe that Grandma Candace has guilty knowledge of at least one of those cases. Which case, I do not know. Next one is Grandma Candace's communication with Emma of Crime Stories Obsessed. This is definitely Grandma Candace, and I think even Dawn confirms it later on in an interview. I found it very interesting how she blames Dawn, talks about knowing for sure.
Of course she does, and Emma's a fucking idiot. But on top of that, it's so easy to blame Dawn, and there's a lot of things to blame on Dawn. It almost reminds me of Billy Joe Howe, okay? When, even though she knew and all the evidence was laid out for her, she still would not accept that her daughter Lilazy could do anything to little baby Quentin. She just kept going straight back to Danny. If Dawn wasn't there, how can she blame Dawn? How could she? You gotta be there to commit a crime. If the Quick Trip at 71st gets robbed, you can't blame somebody that wasn't there.
That Candace didn't do anything. She talks about Dawn's sisters. She says that they should definitely press charges. Very little kind of chat back and forth until she gives her script. Until she gives her spiel about what happened that day, watched her going in, blah, blah, blah. We all know it.
She said, we woke up, she ran around, put food in my mom's. The boys carried Candace food in. Summer helped mommy put stuff away. and help her do a load of clothes. And Candace came out to see me on the steps, told her we need to put cactus in the ground and some others. So she got Summer and they helped me. Well, I had ice on my knee, got them planted. Summer put small rocks around them. And Chase from Paw Patrol, we had a piece of peppermint candy. She went back in their house. We watched her go in. So right there's totally different. They watched her go in the house. Okay, so be it. But Candace said that she had her hand and walked her in.
Except there was no nap at this time. Where was the nap? No mention of the nap. She's very, very much.
The nap was mentioned in March of 2022 as if she didn't know anything that was going on. That's Crandus. Because she had to take a nap. She was just exhausted. That I would believe. You go to the hospital, you get a shot in the knee, you get drugged all over Hell's Half Acre. Of course, you're going to want to take a nap.
Much pointing the finger at Dawn here throughout this. A case of don't look here, look at Dawn. Kind of telling Emma that, look, she thinks Dawn is involved. She just can't prove it. So even going back to one of the motives there, I cannot see her and Dawn being in cahoots together in something here. I think if they were, Dawn would already have to be thrown under the bus. They would be after blaming him. It was all his idea. He made me go along with it. We don't see that. So I doubt very much Grandma Candace and Dawn would be working together to keep a secret here. And that nap is a huge thing for me. How odd that Grandma Candace completely forgets about this nap for months and months, and suddenly a bit of pressure comes on and you insert a nap. You put a nap in there to try and fill a gap, but you're also still covering Candace's ass. And in reality, you've blown the whole thing open. So this is the newest script. This is the latest script from Grandma Candace. I'll play it for you here and look at the gap. Look at the hesitation before she mentions the nap. To me, it's like she's having second thoughts of whether or not to throw it in there or not throw it in there. And also notice how fast she moves on from the nap. So there's a hesitation building up to mentioning the nap, and then very quickly moves on.
I get up that morning, she come out and took me into the ER because my leg was messing up on me. And we were afraid something was wrong with my knee. I have a knee replacement. And she was worried that there was something wrong with it. And she took me into the hospital. And I ended up getting a shot for it to get rid of the pain. And they prescribed me medication to take to get the swelling down out of my knee and around my knee because it was inflamed. And then we waited around for my prescription. Summer went swimming that day at the horse stables, I believe it was. And then we come back and I went in my camper, and after we brought my groceries in for me, and the boys helped with that, and of course Summer. And I laid down and went to sleep, and I got up and I was sitting in my doorway, and we come out and Candace asked me what I was doing. I said, well, we got to transplant these little cactuses into bigger pots. And we did that. And then Summer come in and had a piece of peppermint, which is her favorite. And then she went in. She said, Mama, I want to go play with the boys. Candy walked her back to the house.
Candy walked her back to the house. No one calls Candace Candy. Follow me on this. They call Candace hair candy. Are you following me? Is she talking in first person? Because she says in the beginning of the interview how Rose is her baby, but Candace is her baby too. Now she says, and Candy walked her into the house. That's what everyone calls Crandus. And as far as the damn peppermint, you get them for free at Sonic. Every time. I could go there right now and get my favorite cherry limeade with extra lime. I'm going to get a peppermint. And she's looking down. Candy is what she is called, as in Crandus. And she hates that name. But I don't feel like using her damn government name all the time. Have you ever heard anyone call Candace Bly Wells Candy? Nope. It's always Candace Harrer.
She asked the boys to keep an eye on her, and that's the last time I seen her.
Where was the mention of the snap before, and how long was this nap? Because it doesn't seem like there's any time for a nap in any script that we've gotten before this. To me, it's like she knows there's a gap there. She's trying to fill that gap, but trying to also protect Candace at the same time. If this nap came after everything, if this nap was, oh, we planted flowers, she went in home, I went for a nap, then I might understand it. I might find it a bit more believable. But to put a nap in there before you planted the flowers is nonsense. You would have mentioned this before. This would have been talked about before. This was not part of the original script, and it's...
No, it certainly wasn't. No, it certainly wasn't. And every time I listen to it, I grab something different. Jean Ellen said, or there's another Candace. There's three. There's Candace Harrer, who married Candace Bly Wells' father. And she goes by the name Candy. And then there is Candace Floden, who is Candace Bly Wells' daughter that went to foster care. And talk about victim blaming. Goodness. Baby Kisses says, I miss Navi. I do too. I used to love when he would come on the show and everything, but another case drove him away. There's some crazy people out there. I don't blame him. Just get back to your own life. Don't need all this wear and tear on your soul with these crazy ass people.
It's inserted months after. I think there might be some truth in it. I think there might have been a nap, but not when Grandma Candace said she's lying about something. Did she not think it through? I think she's trying to do too many things with this. You're trying to protect Candace. You're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to fill a gap, and it just makes you look worse. It just makes everyone look worse. How come this nap wasn't mentioned before? And is it just a case of trying to protect Candace and fill in that gap a little bit? Another thing that really gets my attention is how fast Grandma Candace left Candace. She left after a few weeks. If you're after going through that, if your own daughter is missing for 10, 11, 12 years, and you know what that's like, you are not going to leave your daughter alone, isolated, up on a hill. You're not. She had no problem doing it. Why didn't she have empathy for Candace? Is it because she doesn't know what it's like to have a missing daughter and not have answers, so you can't have that empathy that I would expect? Or is it because she knows what happened? She knows what happened and she's no problem leaving Candace there.
She had no problem with it. None. And I mean none. And this is a woman who has a missing daughter. I'm telling you, she has a missing daughter. Now we're getting back to Camp. Here she is with our buddy Chris McDonough. And you're going to hear two different stories from two women that were there.
Lie. People lie to law enforcement, to everybody. It makes me so mad that it just makes my blood boil.
Right. She disappears.
I don't know what else to say.
What are the possibilities in your mind? I know what your heart's saying. Your heart's saying she's with somebody right now. how would we know how to connect that dot? You and me.
Well, like, for instance, that Dobbs guy that was supposed to be camping across at my neighbor's house.
Right.
He was there that same time, and then Tony Hammonds, whoever the hell he is, he was.
Tony Hammonds, not a person of interest, not a suspect. Dobbs, questioned by the FBI and TBI, they know exactly where he was on June 15th. Yes, Summer has been seen on June 15th. But just like Dawn, and see how she's using her hands? Oh, that Dobbs guy, really? He would have a heart attack coming up that hill.
Was down through there.
Who was there when you got home?
There was nobody there. There was my mom mentioned the blue van across at my neighbor's house, but I just figured she had company.
Okay.
I didn't know about that was the guy that was trying to move in there. I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
And so I didn't think nothing. I just figured it was neighbors. I had visitors.
Okay.
You know, I didn't think nothing about that. I gotta stop. I can't do no more. I gotta have a cigarette. Sorry.
No, good. Light it up.
I just don't.
Light it up, girl.
I don't like to breathe in.
No. Go blow it. Go. I'm not gonna. Don't worry about me. You should see me drive. I'm a mess when I drive. You got a lot going on, Candace. I respect you. I'm sorry that you're having all this problem. And no matter what we say, you or me, somebody's going to question
It
it.
doesn't matter what I say or do or try to prove to people. Somebody's always going to twist my stuff.
Right.
Okay, the question is, and yeah, Chris is really good with talking with people that are involved with the crime. People that want his help, like Tyler Vaughn and Brandy Vaughn, or Stacy Jones in the case of Michaela Jones. They're very forthcoming. Candace is always holding something back. She's like, doesn't matter what I say. No matter what I try to prove. Well, your words don't prove anything. You're going to have a little more than that and something that can be backed up by investigators. YouTube's not going to help, my friend. Your Facebook groups are not going to help, my friend. Daisy is not going to help. Not going to. Keep Summer's name out there? Absolutely. So what have you tried to prove? Because you still cannot put a timeline together.
And for that one woman to go on there that works with Allie, she don't know me and my kids. She don't know what they do every day. Most of my boys work there. They tell you.
I've seen a lot of your pictures.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. You know what I mean?
It really upsets me that she said, I wish my boys were here. They would tell you. Those boys, I'm going to assume, I'm going to speculate, I'm going to say, in my opinion, I'm going to say allegedly, I'm going to say all the words, that they were threatened within an inch of their lives to not say a word. When Pruitt showed up, they acted like nothing was going on. It was a regular day. Now they've got police cars around, crime scene tape, the whole 9 yards. And they have such a trauma bond with Kent and Dawn and Crandus. They're not going to say a word. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want anything to happen to them like what happened to Summer. And even in foster care, they're not going to say anything. They don't want to be moved again. They're boys. They're children. It's horrible. The oldest son is coming up on 16. He's about to age out of the system. He'll probably wind up back there on the hill with them. He'll show back up because it's what he knows. You can't blame him. It's what he knows. Thank you, Carla Barnes, for the super sticker. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that, baby. Will Brooks needed that. Thank you.
That speaks a lot. That says a lot. Nobody's perfect, though, right?
I'm not perfect.
I'm not perfect by any means, shape, or thought.
Never have been perfect. Never meant to try to be perfect.
And me neither. I mean,
I am a person just like you.
Yeah.
Or your wife,
That's
or
right.
that person out there on that jet ski.
That's right.
I'm no different than anybody else.
We all make mistakes. There's no question about that. No question about it.
Okay. This is where my snobby side comes out. Yeah, can't, you are totally different than me. You are totally different than me. For one, you have no communication with your 3 sons, and you signed rights over to your 3 sons to the state of Tennessee when your family should have been the tightest ever, meaning your daughter is missing. There should have been almost like a bear cave keeping your family safe because someone invaded your home. Whoever. But when things get inconvenient for Can't, she just bails. And Dawn facilitates it. You see, now, according to Dawn, since they have signed their rights over, they're not trying to reunify, the boys can be adopted. And I hope they are. I really do. I hope they are. And I hope they never look back. Sad fact of the matter is, and you guys, and I'm not going to blame the boys for it. Do you think that the boys will try on their own once they become an age to reconnect with their parents? Because it's a very common occurrence with children who have been removed from a home.
I can't even enjoy life without my kids.
Help me understand what you mean by that.
Like how these guys are out here having fun with their family and stuff. I can't even go in that water and pretend to even have fun because what's the point? She's not here to enjoy it with.
You know, I lost a son.
Yeah, you were saying that.
I know that hole. I know there's a depth of pain that nobody understands until you have been in that hole. Okay? And
you know, I've been in this hole twice now.
Help me understand that.
Well, once when my mom called me and said that they couldn't find my little sister Rosie.
Okay.
When she disappeared. And that was heartbreaking. But my daughter, that's twice as worse.
Right.
You might as well just rip my chest out, throw it out there for the fish to eat because it's worthless without her.
Okay, so they took her sons, but she said her daughter, that's twice as worse. Why? You had no issue in Wisconsin after your 2-year-old son was hit with a baseball bat and you signed your rights over Boo-hoo, she can't enjoy life. She can't have fun in the water. And she had no issue with her daughter being given to the state, to a point when her daughter, Candace Floden, some people say Candace III, when she escaped foster care, and they thought, well, maybe she's going to find her real mother. It's a thing. It happens. When Kent was contacted, she didn't give a fuck. She said, well, I guess I better go find her. I guess I better go find her.
I try to be strong for my boys. I try to have hope. I feel like everybody is against me.
It's all right. You wanna rest for a minute? You wanna take a break for a second?
Yes.
Yeah. Take your time. Nobody else is sure. They're all gone. Everybody left. You know, the world today is so different than it used to be even 10 years ago because of, people can get on.
Vitamins and history books, psychology and a different way to live.
So sad. So horrible. You guys remember that movie Parenthood with Steve Martin, Diane Wiest? There was a ton of people. Keanu Reeves was in it, tons of people back in the 80s. And Keanu Reeves said, because he had an issue with his parents, and he said, you have to have a license to drive a car, hunt a deer, catch a fish, but any asshole can be a parent. And that is the truth. All you got to do is spread them out and get ready. And what happens, happens. And it is horrible. And so for White Boy Radio that wants everyone to apologize, I'll never get over this. Attention assholes on YouTube, that have drugged the Wells family. Horrible punctuation. Do some reporting on Dawn and Candace beating all CPS allegations against them. Well, what are they? What are the allegations? Because they signed their children over. You have talked for years about their parenting skills, which are heinous, and judged them publicly, and they beat a system nobody does. Cleared, tell the truth. GTFO, they do not have their sons. There is no reunification. Their children are not with them. No. Dawn said on WJHL, we just signed him over. So, I mean, if you all want to cough up I'm sorry. Too bad. Proof's in the pudding. And we've seen it for years. Now, listen, we have a big show tomorrow. I need a 1 in the chat if you're going to be here. If you're not going to be here, I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But I'll tell you who is going to be here. Our friend Cat OG. Because we are talking about a case that needs to be talked about more and more and more and more. And as much as I beg people to talk about it, they just won't. Madalena Kojikari, true story of trafficking. You know, I don't like to talk about cases from other countries. I don't, because it's all I know to understand what little bitty county I live in. Okay. And then on Thursday, we are going to be talking about Lily and Jack that are missing from Nova Scotia. I have a real live Canadian coming on. I'm even going to try to call my aunt she's doing a mission in Alberta, not Alberta. She's not from Alberta, Canada. Again, this is the reason I don't talk about other countries. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Thank you, Kat. Kat said, but it happened in your country. That's the reason. That's the reason I started talking about Madalena. I didn't know I was going to have the Serbian Empire coming after me and all those crazy Moldovans. That's the reason Kat has to help me, because she speaks Moldovan and she understands the Serbian Empire. So I have a real life Canadian coming on who lives 2 hours away from where the kids went missing and has been talking to a lot of people in the community, and it's going to help us immensely. Now, the only other real life Canadian I know is Pat Kay, and of course, my Aunt Sarah, who's Mormon and has like 36 grandkids by now. I'll leave that one alone. I don't need all my family on here. But you guys are the absolute best. Get ready for tomorrow. Hold on. Rianne said, are you Serbian? Me? Are you talking about me? Oh, fuck no. No, I've got this guy every time we talk about Madalena Kojakari. And if I bring up Moldova, he gets mad at me and goes, America is 200-year-old baby. You are not Serbian Empire. He'll be in there tomorrow. He'll be in there tomorrow. Don't worry about it. He will. He'll be trolling the shit out of me. Don't get rid of Gustav tomorrow, okay? Because he's got his own YouTube channel showing German flashlights. Mean Jean said, I am real Canada. See, there we have enough. Thank you. So I need help with this case. You guys are the absolute best. Love you to pieces. And I will see you on the flip side.